Good morning. This is Desiree Dubois, founder of Homework, where you can live where you work, work where you live, anywhere in the world. And every Wednesday morning, we have coffee and conversations where we bring on some of our amazing members and they share more about their programs, their products, and their services, everything that a professional needs to know, to enjoy, and to participate in. So today, we have the pleasure of meeting with Barbara Doust, who is a very, very, very longtime member of an Empowered Woman. And we're so glad to hear that she's still following her programs, following her path, and even is becoming amazing. And good morning, Barbara. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Desiree. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, your bio and your name has so many initials and so many things behind it. Do you want to share and kind of break it down for us, like what you've been doing and what you do?
Yeah, I am a thinking into results consultant with Bob Proctor. And in my presentation, I'm going to go more into my history and what I've been up to and what I've done.
Okay.
You'll learn more as I show some pictures.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so then here you go. Here's your stage. Take it away.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here and welcome to Trample the Terror Barrier, which I'm going to get into. I'm really all about mindset. So I focus primarily on universal laws and business principles. So the concept here is goal achieving and the science of goal achieving and understanding your mind. So once you do, that's when you can break through your fears and play a bigger game. So I'm all about helping people play a bigger game. And what that really means is breaking up with the habit of being yourself. So one of the things that people don't realize, is that we can't solve our problems with the same thinking we use when we created them, right? This is one of my favorite dead mentors. And if you keep on, it's that definition of insanity, right? You keep on doing the same thing over and over again, and you keep getting the same result, and you keep working harder, and really nothing is changing except you're getting the same result. So I like to say to my clients, what can you do differently? What can you do differently? So that is like a daily question. If you're not getting the results you want, what can you do differently? So look, we all have resistance to change. And one thing that you could do with me is just roll your hands like this. I know some of you are driving and can't do it, so you're going to do it when you get home and just do the little experiment with somebody else, maybe a child or a friend, right? And I'm going to ask you on the count of 3 to clasp your hands together like so, okay? So roll, and 1, 2, 3, clasp. And just notice as you right them over your left or your left over your right. Just notice. And let's do it again. And roll, and 1, 2, 3, clasp. And notice, is your same thumb over the same thumb? Is it the same?
Yes.
Got some nods, got some yeses, right? Okay, well, I wonder why. So now let's deliberately try to change it, okay? And roll, and 1, 2, 3, clasp. Try to, I can't change and speak at the same time. Did you change it? Yeah. Some people did, some people didn't, right? How did that feel?
It took an effort. I had to be conscious of it. It was a conscientious effort.
Yep.
It was really clumsy for me. I was just like, it was like my fingers were to find the right orientation.
Right. Clumsy. What else?
I had to think for a second, but it happened real quick. I don't know.
Yeah, you had to think, but it happened, right? So, the thing is that, and I'm a neuroscience geek and I study neuroplasticity and I work with a doctor and we use, brainwave entrainment, but essentially, the brain is locked into grooves, right? And the brain doesn't want to have to think. So my mentor, Bob Proctor, says most people would rather die than think. And that's because the brain is conserving energy and it wants the path of least resistance. So it's going to go to what it already knows. The brain is conserving energy because 85% of the time, the brain is looking for threat. It's seeking threat. So that's why 85% of the time, the brain is really in a negative state. It's in a fear state. It's in a protection state, right? So we are resisting change, and change is not comfortable. And all we want is to feel comfortable. And we want to feel comfortable because the ego mind, right, and also the midbrain, the limbic region where we store a lot of trauma, wants to protect us from embarrassment, humiliation, which is our subconscious mind. It doesn't want to experience the possibility of failing. So we'll avoid failure. Okay. And there are two ways that we can, live. It's basically avoiding failure or seeking pleasure. But if it comes to just simply, are we going to lose $100 or are we going to gain $100? Most people are going to go to the side of they don't want to lose $100. They're not even going to take the risk of gaining 100 because the fear of loss has so much power. Okay. And they want to stick in what they already know. So we're stuck into our neural pathways. So we like to have our ducks in a row. We like to have our structure. We like to know, Sandy Gallagher, one of my mentors, says, order is heaven's first law. So it's important, that we line our ducks up in a row, and it's important to have clarity. It's important to have order. It's important to, not go into overwhelm by thinking about too many things at once, which is a problem for a lot of people, right? So when you have your ducks lined up in a row and you have order, then you can set yourself up for success. Part of the challenge is getting those ducks lined up in such a way that you keep building the groove, the habit, and then you don't change. The next level is called the upper limit. And when you can't get past that upper limit, it's because you're still stuck in what the familiar. We want to be comfortable. So who's to blame? Really? Are you at fault?
No.
No. What do you think is to blame?
Habits,
Our
history,
brains.
conditioning.
You got it. It's all with programming.
Programming, yeah.
Right? So by the time we're 8 years old, we're programmed. And because up until we're 8, we are sponges. Our subconscious mind is just totally open to our environment. And in the study of epigenetics, they're proving now more than anything that we are more impacted by our environment than we are by our genetics.
Mm.
So a lot of people will say, well, I was born that way. This is, genetic. A lot of it is they're showing that our genes in our body can express 100,000 variations, each gene, each cell. Okay. So what triggers that expression is usually the way we've adopted and adapted to our environment. So it's not until we're about 8 years old that we start to use our cognitive skills and start to question and analyze and, and really start engaging our thinking mind. But up until then, we are programmed and have accepted a lot of belief systems, a lot of ideas that have been programmed into us. So let's talk about my programming. This is where you'll find out a little bit more about me. So I was raised in Montreal, Canada, and my mother went to grade 6 and my father went to grade 7. So I can't tell you how many degrees and certificates and licenses and, anything and everything to prove that I'm smart. Because I grew up, with parents who weren't educated. They were very smart. They weren't, highly educated. As a matter of fact, my father went to high school and finished his high school when I was in high school. So we had fun sitting, at the table doing 9th grade algebra, together. And, but that's a picture of me and my late husband, Patrick, when I graduated from UCLA. So I went from, I met my husband in theater school in Montreal. We went to San Francisco. We founded a theater company. I've had a show at the Kennedy Center and all before my 30s. And then I just said, you know, I was paid $400 to direct the show at the Kennedy Center. And I said, something's wrong with this picture. So why not go to school again and get smarter and maybe get a university job? Right. So I could have some steady income. And so what happened was that after I graduated from UCLA, I sent out 250 resumes. I still have them, actually. And I didn't get one reply after getting my master's in directing. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get arrested. No matter how many degrees I have, I can't get arrested. So fortunately, when I was in the theater department, I was a rebel because I wanted to do some TV and film classes. And I was criticized for not being a purist, not being a theater snob. You know, so as much as I love theater, I knew that there was a little bit more money in TV and film. Let's say a lot more. Okay. And so I was fortunate enough to be introduced to these two young girls, and I started working with them. These are the Olsen twins. How many people know the Olsen twins? Okay, so I started working with them when they were 7 years old and worked with them for 10 years as their personal acting coach. And I had a acting academy alongside of this where I have a lot of young professionals. They were working professionals who are now big stars today. And I often say that I did not teach them how to act. I gave them the platform to act. I taught them mindset. And a lot of their success is due to their mindset. And today, in order to really thrive in the business, if your mindset is in a place of seeking validation outside of yourself, you're in trouble. So what I know now, if I knew then what I know now, I'd probably be retired on a private island because I wasn't making much more than the hairstylist. Now, alongside, you know, the celebrities making $50,000 a week, you know, I just didn't understand my value, my worth, or what, because, and I had to represent myself because there was no agent for, you know, an acting coach. All right. But the blessing I had was I traveled the world, and I did direct one of their music videos that went to #3 on the kids charts. And but every time that I really wanted to direct, and every time I had a contract to direct, the show got canceled. Or I was on contract to direct 6 of their videos and they got canceled. Warner Brothers canceled. And then another TV show and it got canceled. So it was like every step of the way that I wanted to direct. And then I did, when I was directing one of their music videos, I was in the time of the Me Too generation. And I was paid half of what the average male was paid to direct their video. And they sure made it a challenge for me to see if I could withstand the test of all their demands. And so I did. I succeeded, and the video went to the charts, and not because the video was good, but because they were as successful as they were. And then just as I was finishing working with the Olsen twins, I created a movie of my own, and it was a short film about a friend dying of AIDS, and it was called Letting Go. And within 3 months of that, my husband of 25 years died suddenly. So he was diagnosed with 4th stage lung cancer May 5th, and he was gone 3 weeks later. So after that, I just shut down. I shut down everything. I just didn't have the ability to be vulnerable and at the same time withstand, you know, the industry. And so I shut everything down, my private practice, my school, and went on a journey. And eventually I went into a master's program in spiritual psychology. And but what happened after I lost Patrick, we had been together 28 years and married 25. And then there was a 2-year period after my loss. 1 year later, I found his mother dead in her apartment. And then my best friend died within 2 months of her diagnosis. And then my father died of the same, within 2 months of his lung cancer diagnosis, where he had a tumor behind his heart. And so did my late husband. He had a tumor behind his heart and it wasn't detected earlier. He had chest x-rays earlier and everything. And then my 40-year-old brother-in-law died jumping out of a plane and his parachute didn't open and made headline news. And he was the instructor, and the 28-year-old kid diving with him also died. So I was really, let me just say, a big puddle on the floor for quite some time. I mean, there's two ways that we change. And the way that we change is, bam, a traumatic event. And, and it could be an ecstatic event also, right? But something that really rocks your world. And the other way is through constant spaced repetition of a new idea until it starts forming neural pathway grooves and patterns in your brain that start to create a new you, or a better you, or a variation, or a part of you that you never knew existed. It's been there all along, but the consciousness had to expand and grow in order for you to step into that new version of you. So then I wrote a book, True Love, True Self, A Journey to Self-Love. Essentially, I lost the love of my life to find out I didn't really know how to love myself. And that's where it all begins. And from that place, that's when the journey began. And I believe that your net worth is really equal to your self-worth. Any questions at this time?
Well, I think you captured our attention. So keep going.
So, I also certified in a law of attraction program, but I didn't want to be a coach. I just wanted to heal myself. So after the master's program in spiritual psychology and then this law of attraction, it was always just seeking, what happened to me? Why did this happen to me? Who created this? What's going on? And and then I started coaching people, and people started having results. And I was like, starting to live my life again, and starting to feel joy again, and starting to feel excited again, and starting to really see. But I was also in a pattern, and it's an interesting pattern that I was in. I was always helping other people have success. I was a really great teacher, helping others have success. And there's a big difference between a teacher and a master, and teachers are not highly compensated. Masters are. And the difference is that I was telling people what to do, showing people what to do, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And that's part of a, part of a self-worth issue. I had success by other people having success. I was feeling good about myself. But when those people weren't around, I wasn't feeling so good about myself. I was still like, why am I not achieving what they're achieving? So it was really not until I met Bob Proctor in 2013 that I doubled my practice and tripled my income in less than a year, and started to understand what my part was. And even in all the programs and all the personal development that I had studied, I was like, why didn't anybody show me or tell me this or tell me this or tell me this? It's like, or was I just not sleeping? I just wasn't awake. So it really is about, your mind. And it's really, what does your mind look like? Anybody?
Typically chaos.
Right?
Well, for those who have seen my mind map, Desiree, what do you think?
I agree.
Definitely chaos. Very organized chaos, but it's, yeah.
Yeah. And also, here's the thing, without an image, we have confusion. So Vicki, you creating a mind map creates an image, right? And so, but without having an image of our mind, it's like some people have an image of God, right? Some people, it's the man in the sky. Some people, it's Buddha. Some people, it's, whatever they, that whatever they have on their altar or whatever it is, because what image do we have for spirit? Do you have an image for spirit? So without an image, people are lost and confused. So that's the power of pictures. And so we put images in place. And that's why if we hold up even a little star or an icon, or we have a metaphor or an affirmation, whatever can create an image, right? Because what's really happening is that we interpret language in pictures, okay? So we think in pictures. And if I were to say to you, red truck, what do you see?
Red truck.
Immediately you see a red truck, right? It's gone into every single cell of your body. That image is right there in a nanosecond, bam, right? If I say, does your refrigerator open up from the right to the left or the left to the right or in between?
Or both, yeah.
Right? So Vicky, right? And you're using your hands now, right? So you just went into your kitchen, right? Right? So that's the visualization piece. And what people are doing all day long is interpreting. You don't see RED when I say red truck, right? People are not spelling out language letters in their heads. They're creating an image. Okay, so the image is what is so powerful, and it goes to the subconscious mind and goes into the body. And that's where we get mind, body, and spirit. And it's using the power of imagery to create emotion. So in 1934, Dr. Thurman Fleet, who was a chiropractor, created an image for people to better understand the mind, because he discovered that a lot of his patients were coming to him and complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining. And then he realized they didn't have order in their mind. And so to heal the symptoms, it wasn't about putting a Band-Aid over it, but it was to eliminate the confusion of what is the mind? What's a picture of the mind? Some people will say it's the brain, right? And some people will say it's spaghetti, and some people will say it's lightning. Some people will say it's like synapses firing off. That's the brain, okay? But what is the mind? And so mind is energy. Mind is movement, and it's coming to and through us. That's what mind is. It's coming to and through us. And so spirit is forever seeking expansion. It's energy coming to and through us, seeking expression. And when he created this image called the stick person, just as simple as it is, it just creates order in the mind. Okay. And without an image, we have confusion. So he just divided the top part into the conscious mind, where think of the iceberg, right? When you see the tip of the iceberg, right? There's that little tip. And what's underneath?
The iceberg. The mountain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot more,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but we can't see it. We can't see it. So here's the thing. It's the subconscious mind that we can't see that's running. Neuroscience is now showing it's ruling 95% of our behavior. So everybody's using their conscious mind, their logical mind to say, oh, I can rationalize and I can justify and I can make excuses because, but it's putting us into a limited mindset, because what's really running the show, you're creating justifications, excuses, rationalizations because of what's contained in the subconscious mind that you may not even be aware of. Now, the subconscious mind is what's going to impact our body. So we talk about the conscious mind as the thinking mind, what we already know. And it also is where we have the ability to originate ideas and use our imagination and use what's called our mental faculties. And that would be another lesson on mental faculties, but we're one of the species that have 6 mental faculties, and most other species rule and run their lives through instinct. But we're different in that we have these faculties. And one of the biggest ones is imagination, where we can start to originate. We can be in a mastermind like this, and we can start getting new ideas from other people that we hadn't even thought of before. And if you're not opening up to other ideas, then you're limiting yourself by what you already know. And remember what I said, what you already know keeps producing the same results. So your subconscious mind is your emotional mind. And when you're in your emotional mind, that emotional mind is what's going to impact your results. So you choose your thoughts. We have over 70,000 random thoughts going through our minds every day, usually the same ones from the day before. Do people know Dr. Joe Dispenza's work? Yes?
Mhm.
No? Desiree, you don't know Dr. Joe? Okay. You know,
Mhm.
so Dr. Joe says that if you keep bringing the past into your thoughts, your body is going to be in an addictive state of emotion that controls and predicts your future.
Hmm. Okay.
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 Okay. So you want to break up with the past. So you break up with the emotional addictions to be able to, create a new future instead of predicting what you already know. Okay. So your thoughts cause your feelings. Now, here's the power of the subconscious mind, right? So I know that I think we lost Senway. Did we lose Senway or Senwei? No, we've got some people. She's
I'm
still
here.
okay. Good. But if you're driving, you can't do this. Okay. So just close your eyes. And we're just going to, for those of you who can, okay, and I'll join you too, and just picture yourself walking down, let's say, a street in New York. And you're, going up to a penthouse in the most amazing apartment building. And, the doorman opens the door for you, and there's a lot of happy people around you, and you can see the gold elevator, and you get on the elevator and you've got a special pass to the penthouse suite, right? You take that pass and you go all the way up to the penthouse suite, and the doors open and you open up to this most amazing apartment. It is stunning. And you have like 180, 360-degree views of the landscape and skyscraper of New York City. And it's amazing. And you walk out to the balcony and it's huge and it's just gorgeous. And you go up to the rail and you're looking down, way, way, way down, and you can see so much of the city. And then all of a sudden, as you're standing there, the rail disappears. And you're at the tippy toe edge of that balcony. And feel those feelings. And then you just start to just slowly, very slowly, carefully take some steps backwards, going backwards until you finally reach the doors into the apartment. You shut the doors and you sit on the sofa and take a deep breath and relax. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, I see the expression on Vicky's face. Vicky, what did you feel when the railing disappeared?
I was having a little fear of heights before the railing disappeared. I'm like, I'm not going on that balcony to begin with.
Anybody else like to share?
I guess. I'm on the rail, and then the rail disappeared and I just gasped. I froze. No, no.
Right.
I think I backed up slowly though. I think I kind of moved back pretty quick. It's like
Right. Does anybody else want to share some feelings that you may have had?
Yes, Rosalind, I'm on the phone. As it disappeared, I started backing up immediately.
Okay. So my question to you is, was that real?
Well, it didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
But
In
you
our
went
mind, it
there,
was real.
In the
you went
mind,
there
it was
in your mind.
it was
You traveled
real,
there in your mind.
right? You
Mhm.
felt the feelings, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And it may even have caused some people to have sweaty hands, or, some little gack at the side of their mouth, whatever it is, or a different heart rate or incoherence between the brain and the heart, right? Which is a different heartbeat,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But it wasn't real. That's the power of the subconscious. So whatever images you're putting in to your mind and the thoughts that you choose, and especially when you add emotion, it's impacting your body. Okay. And it's impacting your body in a way that it is creating vibrations in the body. Okay. And your feelings then express action. So some of you even said you started walking backwards
Mhm.
fast, right? You started to create an action from it. So think about your actions are going to produce your results. Okay, so now let's just quickly do it again. Close your eyes. Okay, and now you're on the sofa already. You're relaxed. And this time, you know, it's a different experience. Get into that happy state, looking around the apartment. It's just stunning. It's gorgeous. You love being there, and it's a beautiful day, and you feel brave, and you go out on the balcony and you look at the city, and it's just so stunning. And, you know, it's the rail is there. You're safe. You're protected. It's just gorgeous, you know, and then all of a sudden the rail disappears, but you grow a pair of wings. And you have wings. And those wings allow you to do whatever you want and choose your thoughts. Choose what is it you're going to do. And let's just take about 20 seconds here, exploring with wings on your back what you're doing. Are you swooping down, helping somebody, preventing an accident? What is it you're doing? Flying through the air, feeling the wind on your face. Use your imagination. Create and feel the feelings. What's the difference? And when you're ready, soar, fly, glide, ease your way back to the balcony. The railing goes back up, the wings disappear. You just hang out there a little bit and feel the feelings. What are they? Contentment, joy, peace, love, gratitude. Take a deep breath and slowly open your eyes. How was that experience? Was it different?
Yeah. Mhm.
Very.
It's nicer.
What did you feel?
I felt like my wings were really big, and I had my arms, and I could just really slowly glide through, smooth and free. And I didn't want to come back though.
Right? Different. Anybody else?
I like to be in control, in charge, you know, the wings helped a lot. It's like, okay, I'm cool now.
Right? Completely different state. Was it real?
No.
No.
Where, did it feel real in your body?
Felt real.
Yeah.
Felt real in the body, right?
Real.
So these are the techniques and the visualization techniques that Olympians use, athletes use, right? I was just an author in a book called The Successful Spirit, and there are Olympic athletes sharing their stories in that book, The Successful Spirit. And it's really, what are you creating in your mind, and what images you're allowing to create emotion in your body. And unbeknownst to most people, about 97% of the people, well, all of us, we're creating images all day long without being aware of the impact it's having on our emotional state and on the frequency and the vibration in our body, which then is going to get us into action to produce the results we want, or it's going to, you know, stop us because we've got these fear images, these doubt images, these worry images that really stimulate hormones and neuropeptides in our body, and it all becomes brain chemistry at that point. So you want to be in charge of your brain chemistry. And the way to do it is to be conscious and to grow aware. But how do you get what's underneath to come up to your level of consciousness to create what you want? And it takes awareness. Okay. So having order in your mind will really start to help you play a bigger game. So I talked about this the last time briefly when we met, that a goal is something you're going after that you've never done before. Not going after what you've done before. That's not a goal. A goal is going after something you have never, ever done before. And the question to ask is, what do you really, really want? Do you want something that somebody else wants for you? Do you want something that you think you should be doing? Do you want something because you think it's going to make you money? What do you really, really want? And most people don't spend time asking themselves on a deep level or even allowing themselves to fantasize. So as a result of that, most people are thinking small. And most people are saying, I can't do that. I'm not, capable of that. I don't know how to do that. And that's going in the wrong direction. So ask yourself, are your goals really making you excited and energized? Are they scaring the pants off of you and exciting you at the same time? Do your goals belong to you or do they belong to somebody else? So I recommend that you make a list of personal wants and just fantasize. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? Make a long, long list. What do I want? What do I want? I want to travel the world. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I want a TV show. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I want to make a multi-million-dollar empire. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? Both personal and professional. Okay. That's just the first stage, is allow yourself to think big, allow yourself to fantasize. So what I do in my program is I help people go for that fantasy goal. What do I really want? An A-type goal, as you see here on the screen, is the present results, what you already know. What you've created now is from previous thinking, from previous planning. What's in your reality right now is from previous thinking. Okay. And if you're going after the same thing, you're not going to grow. You're not going to have excitement. The same thing with plan B, what you think you can do. If you get into the how and start going, I'm going to write a book. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write. I'm going to do an outline. If you've got it all planned out, you're probably going to lose enthusiasm and your desire will fizzle. But when you go after something you don't know how to do, you're not in your conscious mind of like, I've got it all figured out. I work with PhDs who are so stuck in their minds, in their logical mind, and they've got all the answers. I was talking to one yesterday who said, I already know that already, Barbara. I'm like, well, do you know this? And do you know this? And do you know this? And it was like, because he couldn't connect to his emotional mind. So he just kept storing that, but I'm not getting any results. I'm not getting any results. And it's like, well, because you know it. And that's what's stopping us from breaking through our upper limits. Okay. So really, as soon as you know how to do it, you're going in the wrong direction. So type A goals, doing something you already know. B, what you think you can do. You got it figured out. You just got the plan. And, so I think SMART goals are fine. I don't like SMART goals to start with. I much rather go after a goal that's way outside the comfort zone and then use SMART goals to get there. Does everybody understand the difference?
Does everyone know what SMART goals are? Do you want to break that down for them?
Okay, so SMART goals are really the way that most people go after goals. SMART being a specific goal. M, measurable. A, achievable. R, realistic. T, timeable. Okay, that stands for SMART goals. And most people are doing 1%, 2%, 10% increase. And for example, I work with somebody at Dell, an engineer at Dell Computers, and they've got their goals and they've got their SMART goals. And it was like, Christian, let's blow the lid on that one. And within 3 months, he increased his sales 170%. Okay. And it was really going after the C-type goal and then using SMART goals, the micro goals along the way to get there. And that creates the order and that creates the aim and direction. So it's aiming in the direction of your dreams. Okay. That's going to give you a different result. So there's two things you must know to improve your results: where you are and where you're going. Okay. And without goals, without setting something, that's going to bring you forward, you're going to, stay in status quo, right? So without goals, most people are lost. And that's why most people work for other people. because somebody else is designing their goals. Okay. So it's really, can you, here's where you are, but as soon as you start to go after your goals, the paradigms are going to show up. Now, remember what I said, 95% of our behavior is controlled by the subconscious mind. A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. Our paradigms create our personal reality, which ultimately creates our personality, our personal reality. Okay. And as soon as we want to go after something new, subconscious mind is going to start to surface so that we can see what the paradigms are. And so a paradigm, it's a fixed idea and a belief in your subconscious mind that creates unconscious behaviors known as habits. Some habits are good and some habits are not so good. So it's the not so good habits that we want to start changing. And that's when you'll start to see you becoming a new you. So our paradigms are created through our DNA, our heredity. So there's ancestral programming as well. Yes. There's our parents, our teachers, our mentors, friends, who we hang out with, negative Nellies, David Downers, people who say you can't do what you want to do, and they give you all the reasons why you can't, and our culture. You know, to be a visionary and step outside the tribe, one of the biggest fears that we have is public speaking. It goes all the way back to caveman days. So if you dared to be different than the tribe, you dared to challenge the leader, do you think your head was on your shoulders after that? And then through history, you're on the stage, you're expressing an idea. The audience doesn't like it. Well, out come the tomatoes. You're in vaudeville and you're not doing so well. Out comes the hook. You're taken off, right? The visionary, the leader who dares to disagree with the tribe is risking their lives. And so subconscious mind goes into, I'm going to die. And it goes into absolute terror. You know, it's just terrifying to do it differently and take the risk that you may not be liked. Okay. So we're the product of someone else's habitual way of thinking. Boom, period. Paradigms are controlling the lives of most people. And until you know what your paradigm is, it's really challenging to change it. So paradigms shape our logic, our perception, they control our time, they control our effectiveness, our productivity, and yes, our money. Our paradigm, really, all of these things are just controlled by our paradigms. The way we were raised, the beliefs we grew up with, the beliefs that are stuck on an unconscious level that have created habits that we're not even aware are limiting us. So in order to replace your negative habits, it's first to identify them, but you must replace them with positive habits. Otherwise, what's going to take over the negative habit? If you're not conscious of deliberately creating a positive habit, you're going to create another negative habit. Well, I'm going to make a phone call to 5 people today. I'm going to reward myself. That's a good habit to change, right? But then you don't do it consistently. So it takes, as I say, 30 days to create a new habit. Not so true. New studies are saying 66 days. Not so true. It's really the individual. For me, sometimes 90 days. For me, sometimes a year. But it's only through repetitive, consistent, deliberate effort and consistency will the neural pathways change. And NASA did an experiment with astronauts where they put on some goggles that forced them to see upside down. And they saw that after 30 days, they automatically started seeing right side up again. And they were still wearing the goggles. Then they tried it where they took the goggles off 15 days later and they put the goggles back on, but it didn't change for the astronauts. So the neural pathways only shifted, and they did MRIs, The neural pathways shifted after 30 days of consistent consecutive behavior. You've got to give it at least 30 days. And then they say 40 days to transformation. You know, I did this project for myself when I saw I was eating chocolate cake every night. And so I replaced, and I put on my success habit chart, I replaced my chocolate cake with eating yams. I love yams, but you know, so what I did was, okay, I took a bite of a yam every night for dessert for 30 days. Well, the good news is that chocolate cake no longer controls me. So I can have just a bite of a piece of chocolate cake and I'm good, right? But I was in the habit of doing it every single night and went, oh, not good. How am I going to replace it? Well, I'm not going to replace it with, you know, a scoop of ice cream, right? It's what I want to do. But what's going to be the more productive choice, the more positive choice, the one, because if you keep creating the habit that gets you stuck in the familiar, you're going to keep getting negative results. So let's just look back at this. When you're going after your C-type goal, just think, everybody, do you have a C-type goal? Do you think you have your C-type goal? Desiree's nodding. Some people not so sure. Some people know. Do you have your C-type goal? I know, Dawn, we talked the last time a little bit about what could create more of a, you know, a leap for you, right, into it being a C-type goal. Well, here's what happens. As soon as you've got and you've decided, I'm doing it, I'm going for broke, I'm busting through, I'm doing it. Okay, I've decided, I'm committed, I'm all in. And as soon as you do that, here's what happens.
I don't look like that.
Yes, and you've got to expect it. As soon as you decide that, fear, doubt, worry, I can't, no, it's not possible, and all of that is going to immediately rush in. And those hormones, those neuropeptides are creating this vibration in your body. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. So just think about, you know, and sit with it. When you think about your C-type goal, and this is something you can do on your own, just feel in your body the fear that comes up, or the doubt that comes up, or the worry that comes up, and kind of like feel in your body, where is that feeling? And I'll give you an example for myself. You know, this is just an example. It's not what I'm aiming for. Let's say with my directing experience, my C-type and production and producing experience, if I had a C-type goal that I wanted to produce a Broadway show, and immediately I'm like, I'm in, I'm doing it. I'm talking to people about it. I'm emotionalizing it. I decided it. I feel good about it. I've got enthusiasm. And then boom, in comes the fear. I don't know how to produce a Broadway show. I've never done that before, but I want to do it. Well, what am I really feeling? You know, doubt, fear, worry. And then up comes this thought. I don't know how to ask for money. And out of that thought, I go, I don't know how to ask for money, because I was taught in my family, never ask anyone for money. I just sounded like Marge Simpson, right? Never ask anyone for money, right? That was the story in my family. You can't ask anybody for help was the one also associated with that. So if I've got the belief system, I can't ask for help, and I can't ask for money, am I going to successfully produce a Broadway show? No. So now I get to work with that paradigm. And what I recommend, if anybody has that kind of, you know, paradigm, I would recommend start practicing asking for money. So I started practicing, let's say in this scenario, asking people, could you buy my coffee? I left my money, my wallet in the car. Would you mind paying for the parking this time? And then what I'm teaching my subconscious mind, because my subconscious mind thinks it's going to die when it asks somebody for money. And as soon as somebody says, sure, Barbara, I'll pay for your coffee. And how's about a pastry with that? And then I go, okay. And my subconscious mind goes, you didn't die. And it's the same thing with the Olympic athletes. I coached Tara Lipinski, and I think some of you I told, and she was an Olympic figure skater who won the gold medal at 15. And I saw that girl on the rink at 5 o'clock every morning, triple lux, crash, back up again, triple lux, crash, back up again, triple lux, bam, and up again she'd get. Okay. But for most of us, we want to stay, as I said, in the comfort zone, and highly successful people leave the comfort zone. And if you're choosing to be an entrepreneur who's designing bigger, better, and more in your life, get used to being out of the comfort zone and know that it's your paradigms that are pulling you down. They want you back to what you know, come back to what you know. And this is what we call the terror barrier. So as I explained to you, the mind, now we've got an image of the mind. We've got here what Dr. Thurman Fleet called the stick person, right? You see it? So here we are, our friend, the stick person. And it's teaching us, if you look over to the screen here on the far left where it says bondage, the X represents the conditioning of what you already know. So in your conscious mind, you've got X conditioning, what you already know, which means you have your X conditioning in your subconscious mind, right? Which means what do you have in your body? What you already know. You've got X conditioning. So it's going to give you X results, what you already know. So now you have you're using your imagination, or you've got a dream that somebody says, what do you really, really want? And you say, I want a coffee shop with books. And you get that idea. And that idea goes into, you're using, your 5 physical senses to picture it, right? And then, but you're still in the reasoning state. You're still just in the fantasy state. You're just building, some pictures around it. Well, let's call that idea the why idea. The coffee shop idea is the why idea, but it's just in your idea stage. It's stuck in your conscious mind. So we've got why. What's on the subconscious level still? X. Your old paradigm is still there, still in your body. You keep getting X results, which means, are you creating the coffee shop? If you're still in X conditioning, is the coffee shop being created? Yes or no? No. No. So now you're taking the coffee shop idea. You start talking to people. Hey, Desiree, I've got this idea. What do you think? Hey, Don, would you like to sell your book at my bookstore coffee shop? Would you like to come and speak? And you start getting people involved in your idea, and you start getting emotional about the idea, and you start building pictures of the idea. Remember, I said conscious mind interprets language into imagery, and imagery creates emotion. And now you've got why. You've got that idea in your body. You've got it emotionalized. It's in your body, and it's saying, yay, we're going to do this. But X is in the body, and it's the old conditioning, and it's saying, hell no, get out of here. Move out of the way, you mother. And Y is going, hey, wait a second. No, we can do this. I've always wanted to do this. You get out. It's time. I don't want to believe mom and dad and grandma, and I don't want those ideas anymore. And X is saying, you got to stay in the familiar. You got to stay with what you know. It's comfortable. Even if you're miserable, God damn it, you're miserable and you know it, right? And so it drops into your body as what's called an XY vibration, otherwise known as 2 opposing vibrations in your body, which create the feeling of what? What's the feeling?
Conflict.
Conflict. What else?
Turmoil.
Turmoil. What else?
Anxious.
Anxiety. What else?
Rumination.
What?
Fear.
Fear.
Doubt.
Doubt. Depression. Right? You've got, and what anxiety is, hear me, is 2 opposing vibrations. So you could be making your cup of coffee in the morning and stirring your cup of coffee with maple syrup or whatever it is. And all of a sudden you feel anxious, but you have a roof over your head. You're paying your bills. You've got friends. you're safe. And all of a sudden you've got anxiety in your body. But you might be singing the song inside your head. Gotta work hard for your money. Gotta work hard for your money. Gotta work hard for your money, right? And their body is agreeing with it. And that's called an addictive state. You're addicted to the emotion of anxiety. And it takes awareness to change it. And we call that breaking through the terror barrier. And when you're on the other side of the terror barrier, it's like Nike had it right, people. You got to do it. So if you step out on that diving board, you either got to dive or you go back down that ladder, back to what you know. And it's also about taking risk, you know, because what you want is in the unknown. The only way you're going to discover the parts of yourself that you haven't yet met is to go into the unknown. So when you are in doubt, fear, and worry, you're in ignorance. You're just staying stuck, and you're going to justify. If you justify, rationalize, and make excuses, understand that that's called a paradigm. Your paradigm is working really hard to say, come back to what you know, even if you're miserable. And ego mind and subconscious mind are having a happy dance saying, yay, she didn't change. She didn't change. We're good. We're good. Even if we're not happy, because ego mind would rather be right than happy. Okay. So it's really about, once you get an understanding and you gather the knowledge, and you study, and you aren't so ignorant about what's going on, that you can start to develop faith. And faith, Clarence Smithson has a great quote. Let's see if I can get it right, where he says, faith is the ability to believe in the impossible, what the masses think. No, to believe in the incredible, what the masses think to be impossible. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And so let me just go back. So when you get into faith and you start to get into action and move your body into the direction of your dreams, it's going to take time. It's crossing the border of spirit, which is the metaphysical state, which is the dream state, into the physical form. And that takes time. So your inner world is creating your reality, but it might take 3 weeks, a month, a year to catch up to what you're creating in the inner world. It's just, are you being consistent with it? Or are you doing the yo-yo effect of like, yeah, no, yeah, no, right? And that's the yo-yo effect. So, but it's to stay consistent. I've got this. This is the next step. This is the next step. And that's when you can use your SMART goals. So what's next? You know, you've got to let yourself fantasize. Use your imagination. Get creative. Do you know Vishen Lakhiani, who created Mind Valley?
I heard of it. Mm-hmm.
Mind Valley is a multi-million-dollar empire of personal development and well-being tools and instructors that he invites on, and speakers, and Michael Beckwith, and master classes. And Vishen was at an event with Bob Proctor, and Bob asked him, you know, how he was doing. And he said, great. You know, I'm flying from Malaysia, a 15-hour flight once a month to Los Angeles. I'm making $5,000 teaching yoga and meditation practices. And then I fly back 15 hours to Malaysia and my family. And I make $5,000 a month. And Bob just looked at him and said, kid, you're not thinking big enough. And he was angry. He talks about it on a YouTube video. It's very interesting. Talks about how Bob really pissed him off, and because he thought he was doing great. And then he went back and reevaluated and allowed himself to fantasize, and in his mind created Mind Valley. And the questions to ask yourself are you willing and are you able? So for this big desire, this big goal, this big dream, if you're not willing and able, it's not the right dream. Okay. And then you start moving it into the knowledge and in the theory and the study and, you know, gathering information, staying out of the how. And what's interesting about this with universal laws is as you commit to it, the universe conspires to start meeting you. So you're here and your vision's up here. And as you just stay in the commitment and stay in the commitment, then what starts to happen is you get met halfway. It's not this long journey. It's because the people, places, events, and circumstances start to come to you as you open up to it, to ask for what you want. Okay. So you must think your dream first and then feel it and get it into your body in a high emotional commitment. And that's going to create the action, which creates a reaction. This is the law of physics, as Einstein says. You know, it's the quantum world of energy. You know, so most people are not understanding the force of energy, but it's called consciousness. And consciousness is moving to and through each and every one of us, seeking a fuller expression of expansion. So your environment is your looking glass. Your current results are also based on your self-image. And if you've got a limited self-image of yourself, that's where you need to work and focus on creating a stronger self-image, because your self-image was created by your paradigms. I was on the set with the Olsen twins. I can't ask for more. I can't ask for more money. I can't. My family, you know, told me that, you know, follow the rules, right? But the good news is you have the power to change it. You have the power to change it. What do you see when you look in the mirror? What are you telling yourself when you look in the mirror? What are you saying? Because your innermost dialogue is creating your outer reality. What you say to yourself that you wouldn't say to a 4-year-old, that you don't even share with anybody, what that is creating your self-image. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. He was a plastic surgeon. And he saw that he could change people's faces and they still had a low self-image. They still had low self-worth and didn't feel good about themselves. There would be some people that he would create the change and they'd feel great about themselves. But more often than not, that the self-image the person had of themselves, if they had a huge nose, they still saw, even though their nose was smaller, they still saw themselves as a person with a large nose, and that continued to inhibit them. So what you do to start changing is, I say, fake it till you make it and feel good about it. And it's the acting as if concept. Because, hang on a sec, if you are not going to use your imagination and start pretending, think about the role of the actor who gets a role and learns their lines. They're not very good in the beginning until they practice. And that's part of the 4 steps of conscious learning and to becoming a conscious competent, and then becoming an unconscious competent, to where it's just so natural, you are it. But you must first step into the role and commit to what are the thoughts of that character, what's the dialogue, and repeat, 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 ad nauseum. I could say it ad nauseum, repeat, 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 until the language is so a part of you and you're becoming it. And you start thinking about what you wear and you start acting it and you start being it, because you're becoming it. And then the most successful actors and the ones who move us the most are the ones who believe and the ones who are being it, not the ones who are rehearsing by rote and just, you know, saying this is how it's done and controlling it. The ones who abandon themselves to becoming it. And so I was talking with a model the other day who said, oh my gosh, we were told all the time, fake it till you make it. And she said, I would start at the top of the runway, shaking in my boots. Remember what I said about the fear paradigm and speaking and being seen. And she said, we were told to put back our shoulders and pretend we were confident. And so I'd go out there and pretend I was confident, shaking in my boots. By the time I got to the end of the runway, I was hot stuff. I was strutting my stuff. I was looking good. And I just sashayed back, you know, and feeling all the confidence in the world, you know, and it takes diving in and practicing. But most people will stop themselves and judge themselves as a fraud or an imposter. Well, that goes deeper. That goes more into perfectionism and some other, you know, possibly OCD or some other issues that are a little bit deeper. Okay. Let me just get into the next slide here. Oh, it's stuck. It's not moving for me. There we go. So in playing a bigger game, your goals must be in present tense. Subconscious mind interprets language, but subconscious mind doesn't know the past and it doesn't know the future. It only knows now. It just knows now. Subconscious mind doesn't know time. It's our rational mind that creates all these rules and these programs and structures. But subconscious mind, think of it as a child that's just wide open. Doesn't know the past. It doesn't know the future. It just knows now. So that's why when people say, you know, put your affirmation in I am, not I will, or say I intend, or it's my commitment, it's my desire. Put it so that the subconscious mind is acting on it now. And you want to, you know, again, the more you say will, you're putting it out to the future. And you're just, and then the paradigms are going to show up and show you why you shouldn't start now. And you're going to justify it, and it's just going to keep going out, out, out. And you're just going to, you know, create more distance. But it's called the knowing doing gap. So you must get emotionally involved in your goal and use the power of auto-suggestion, repetition, 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 and emotion, you know, and say, I am it. When I first started doing this and I wanted to work in corporate, I was like, at my desk every morning, I made a commitment, 9 o'clock, I'm going to have pumps on and wear a suit. I didn't know what it was like to work in corporate. I just pretended, right? And then I did a talk somewhere and somebody came up to me and said, I'm a CEO. I'd like to have a talk. Like, who introduces themselves as a CEO? You know? So I was like, okay, well, let's have a talk, right? And I remember the first CEO that I, and this is kind of like inside stuff that I don't share with a lot of people, but it's a small group. And I was hired to work with a billionaire at a big corporation. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to wear? So my neighbor who worked in corporate, I borrowed an outfit from her, and I even borrowed her shoes. And so I pretended that I was as successful as her in the corporate world. And I, you know, I allowed myself to feel it. And then he walked in the room with his entourage, because you don't say to so-and-so, you know, without the entourage. And I went to shake hands with him, pretending I was like, you know, all knowing. I tripped on a cord and fell flat on his face. And it broke the ice. And then I was able to get him to play with me unlike anybody else had before. And I helped him through and navigate a big problem that then when he went in front of 5,000 people to do a presentation, he got over the habit that he had been, you know, trying to get over for years. Okay, so start acting like the person you want to become. Act on your belief. It's, do you believe? If you don't believe, find it, or find someone else who believes in you, or get a mentor, or get a coach, or get an, you know, an accountability partner, or like this mastermind group. Don't think you can do it alone. So Steve Bowe says, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God, call it universe, spirit, whatever you want, universe, is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Do you want to be in your zone of excellence, or do you want to be in your zone of genius? So really, understanding is the key to freedom. Are you willing? Because if you're just, you know, committed, you're going to do whatever it takes to get results. If you're just interested, you're going to do whatever's convenient. You're going to be the actor sitting on the sofa with the remote going, why is he so successful? He's fat. Douche. Next channel. Why is she so successful? She's got big ears. Douche. Right? And so you're just going to sit there conveniently making excuses, justifying why you're not successful yet. And it's going to be because of the director, the agent, my agent isn't promoting me, whatever it is. If you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes to get results in your life. So everybody be brave. Even if you're not, look at this image. It matters. I see some people are writing, so I want you to see this image. Now I'm going to tell you, this image was given to me by an executive at a corporation of over 3,000 employees. He was chief operating officer. And after my talk with him, he sent me this image. I'm Barbara Doust. I'm a Thinking into Results certified consultant. I have programs. I've got my Thinking into Results program. I've got groups that are starting next week and the week after. And if anybody is interested in learning more and would like to set up a call with me, you can go to my calendar, calendly.com/Barbara-64. You can email me, and you can also go to my website and schedule a session if you're interested in learning how to break through your paradigms to play a bigger game and get different results in your life. It's up to you. It's your choice. And are you willing and are you committed? I'm going to stop the share, Desiree.
Okay. Awesome. A lot of things come to mind. And I am going to close out so we can open up to a private conversation. So I want to thank you, Barbara. And until we meet again, stay